Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban knife style and jungle survival. Today we're going to have a look at the Buck 112 Ranger finger groove and see if it makes for a good EDC knife. First, if you watch this channel regularly but have not subscribed, please do so to support the channel. Thanks a lot. In 1964, the larger Buck 110 was introduced, and in 1972, Buck introduced the 112 Ranger. It was created in response to a fight between sailors and soldiers in which a model 110 folding folder was used. This led to an order that all knives exceeding a certain blade length were banned. Thus, the 1110 blade exceeded that length and was banned. So Buck Knives created the Ranger, a smaller version of the 110. So let's have a look at the knife first. It comes in the Buck box, which is actually quite oversized for the knife that you get, but I do believe they use this box for other knives as well. So just that classic black and yellow with the anvil logo. And inside we have a sheath first. This is a very nice thick leather sheath. It's made in Mexico, but thick stock formed around, really nice and hard. It's got a belt loop. I personally won't use this, I believe, because I'll either carry it in a pouch, in a pocket, or something else, which I'll share in another video. But I'll put that aside for now. Let's have a look at the knife itself, wrapped up in this kind of a bubble wrap envelope. And there we have the Buck 112 Ranger. Check that out. I think this is just the epitome of a classic folding knife. If you look at a lot of survival books, outdoor manuals, when they have line drawings of a folding knife, it looks like this. Not necessarily the finger groove, but definitely modeled after the Buck 110 or 112. And I've wanted this for a long time. I wanted to get the 112, but I didn't want the straight edge. I wanted the finger groove, but they are quite tough to find, especially in this part of the world. It's not easy to get buck knives in general. The range is very limited, and getting this at a good price is tough, or even getting it alone is tough. And if I were to order it from overseas, they seem to be all premium prices because the finger groove, maybe it's not that a common knife, so the prices are a bit more expensive. And then shipping a single knife to me would really not make sense because that would cost quite a lot as well. But I was lucky enough to find one dealer here which sold the finger groove buck. I was so happy. I immediately put that order and I got it. Now the reason why I think I like this finger groove Buck 112 is really for nostalgic reasons. Because the very first knife or serious folder that I ever bought more than 30 years ago is this. This is the Buck 422. The Buck Light, and you can see it's essentially the same knife, the same mold, but in this plastic material. Everything else is virtually identical based on the production date. For the Buck knives, this was made in 1987. I bought it about 1989. This particular knife made in 2019. So many years apart, but still so similar. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's why I wanted to have the 112. I think it's kind of the upgraded real man's version of this knife, which I bought as a scout. So this knife introduced years ago, more than 50 years ago now, but it's still essentially the same knife. You got the hardwood ebony handles, although now the wood is sourced from the Congo Basin rainforest, but you got those brass bolsters. And of course, the blade itself, 420HC with that Boss heat treatment. Right, here are some specs for the Buck 112 Ranger finger groove. So the blade length is 3.0 inches, close length is 4.25 inches, overall length is 7.25 inches. As mentioned, 420HC stainless steel, but heat treatment, of course, is Buck's, which makes it superior. The hardness is between 58 to 60 HRC. Blade thickness is 0.12 inches. As mentioned, also clip point style blade. And personally, I do not generally favor clip point style blades. In fact, most of the knives in my collection are drop points, tantles, reverse tantles, wand cliffs, spear points. Are very few clip points. But for whatever reason, I do like the clip point for the Buck. It's just the geometry that works for me. Generally, I find that either too thin or the clip is too long or too short. I'm not sure, but for the Buck 110 or 112, I'm perfectly fine with their clip point design. The blade finish is a satin finish, and this is a lock back design, which means you press the back and that closes the blade up. Now when you first get a buck knife, I do believe you have to work it a bit. I guess it depends how long it's been sitting on the shelf as well. So what I did have to do, I had to clean it out and then re-oil it, because when I cleaned it out, all the oil had already turned black. So definitely a bit of grime, a bit of stickiness. But after I cleaned it out, re-oiled it, and then opened it up and just kind of worked it in, it's now pretty easy, pretty smooth. Just very happy with that. This is a solid heavy knife. It's 5.9 ounces or 167.3 grams. So it's not a light knife, but honestly, even when I put it in my pocket, I know it's there, but it doesn't feel like it's in the way, and I just feel confident that I've got a solid knife with me. So if it's important to you, this particular knife is made in the USA, not in China, although some of Buck's other ranges are made in China, but this is made in the US. So does this make for a good EDC knife? I think I don't really need to answer that question. This is a proven and tested knife. Hundreds, I mean thousands, probably 10,000s of people, probably hundreds of thousands of people over the decades have carried the 110 or 112. It is definitely a solid knife. I do have many choices for folders now. I'm spoiled in that way, so I won't bring this out, mainly because also of that collector's value to me, that sentimental value. I don't want to bring this out and use it as a beater, but I'll definitely use this as a EDC, but maybe in the office, in my study, or at home. So I'll definitely be using the knife, and this was sharp right out of the box. Tried to do a paper slice test and it just went right through like butter. One of the sharpest knives, I think, from Buck that I've got right out of the box. So that was very satisfying as well. Now you can't open this blade one-handed in the traditional way because there's no thumb stud or no flipper tab. However, there is a way to open it one-handed that I learned recently. You can grab it and flip it over like that, and you get it open. If you want to close it one-handed, you could press that against something, a table or your leg, and you can close it up. So I found that pretty interesting, to kind of open the blade with one hand. A bit dangerous, I think you have to be careful with that, but at least there is a method. In a future video, I'm going to show you 2 additions I'm going to make to this Buck 112 Ranger finger groove, and we'll see how that works out. But for now, let me know your thoughts on the Buck 112 or the 110. Do you think they're as good as I think they are? Are they an iconic knife? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep it forwarded, keep it safe.